Hello and welcome to MBC News Hour. In the next 60 minutes, our reporters across the country will give us the latest in politics, business, entertainment and sports. I am Arthur Chokoto alongside
Sifadim Susanda. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Lynn Limponda. We're glad you could join us.
Let's take a look at stories making headlines.
Government to continue constructing modern houses for traditional leaders across the country to ensure they live in decent conditions. The Japanese government pledges continued support towards the education sector in the country. And Speaker of Parliament appeals to the Budget and Finance Committee and other parliamentary committees to track the implementation of the 2026-2027 national budget for the benefit of Malawians.
Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. Minister of Local Government Ben Piri says government will continue constructing modern houses for traditional leaders across the country to ensure they live in decent conditions. Piri made the remarks in Parliament while responding to questions from members of Parliament. He said the DPP-led government remains committed to improving the welfare of chiefs and to sustain the program which began in 2019. The minister has since warned contractors against constructing substandard houses, saying those found at fault will face legal action.
On chiefs' houses, basically, I was minister in 2019, and we indeed started under the leadership of Professor Mutharika, the president then. We started the houses, some left at window level, some left at roofing level, some at foundation level, but that did not continue in the past 5 years. You have heard from a member of parliament from Chisi, nothing happened on those chiefs' houses, but the chiefs deserves better. The chiefs needs proper houses. So we are looking at that, and once consultations are done, I am so sure that we will move from the paramount chief going down to make sure that stage by stage, considering the limited resources that we have, whether using CDF or otherwise, we are giving the chiefs proper accommodation.
Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has suspended the commercial use of VIP lounges at Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe and Bakiri Muluzi International Airport in Blantyre. A statement released by the ministry says the suspension will take effect from 20th April and shall remain in force until further notice. According to the statement, this measure has been instituted to allow for a comprehensive review of the existing guidelines, operational protocols, and access criteria governing the use of VIP lounge facilities. However, the statement says access to VIP lounges will be strictly limited to official designated categories of users in accordance with established government procedures. It says while the suspension may cause inconvenience to previous beneficiaries, the step is very necessary in order to enhance efficiency, security, and overall integrity of these facilities. The statement further says the categories of eligible users of the VIP lounges at the airports include the President of the Republic of Malawi, spouse and immediate family members, the Vice President of Malawi, spouse and immediate family members, Speaker of the National Assembly, the Chief Justice of Malawi, former Presidents of Malawi, former Vice Presidents of Malawi, and Cabinet Ministers and Deputy Ministers. According to the statement, Chief Secretary or Secretary to the President and Cabinet, the Attorney General, judges of the Supreme Court, as well as Malawi ambassadors and high commissioners are among those designated categories of users of the VIP lounges. Now, the number of households affected by floods in Mangochi has risen to over 970 from 956. According to Chief Executive Officer for Mangochi Municipal Council, Ernest Kadzogoya, the number of the affected households has risen as water levels in Lake Malawi and the Shire River continues to rise. Francis Banda has found this report, read by Owen Mavula.
Authorities at Mangochi Municipal Council are reporting an increase in cases in number of households affected by floods due to heavy rains that recently hit some parts of the country. Speaking to MBC, Chief Executive Officer for Mangochi Municipality, Ernest Kadzogoya, said currently The council has set up another camp at St. Augustine II Primary School at Mbaruku, where over 20 families are seeking for shelter. According to Katsokoya, there are fears of outbreak of waterborne disease like cholera and bilharzia in some areas such as Ngalamo village, where families are also seeking for shelter in a camp. On the state of support to the affected families, the Chief Executive Officer commended government through the Department of Disaster Management Affairs (DODMA) for its timely provision of relief aid to survivors, saying currently there are 900 bags of maize yet to be distributed.
Despite that, the rains have stopped coming, but we're still seeing the waters rising. We're still seeing more households still getting submerged, which is quite now challenging, and it's affecting more households. So it's a sad situation that what we're seeing out here is not what is happening along the Shell River, that the waters are still rising. More and more households are being affected by the water that is coming from the Shell River.
And in her remarks, Councillor from Sukamwere Ward, Rhoda Banda, whose area was hardly hit, says people in the area are facing challenges in terms of mobility due to high water levels.
We are
thankful to council officials, our Member of Parliament, and in particular, His Excellency the President, Professor Peter Mutharika, for the support given to those affected. The village where these people were displaced is now a no-go zone. We ask government to assist us with a boat or two to help school-going children cross on a daily basis when school opens.
In recent months, there's been a rise in water levels in Lake Malawi, which has spilled over to other water bodies, including Shire River, which connects to Lake Malombe in Mangochi.
In order to contribute towards improving Malawi's preparedness and response to weather-related hazards, the Department of Climate Change and Meteorological Services held a stakeholder mapping and dialogue workshop on impact-based forecasting, IBF, in Zomba. Director of the department, Luce Tilatira, said the department wants to ensure that forecasts are translated into timely and effective action. Mrs. Amawa with the details.
Experts say impact of disasters can be prevented when people are aware and prepared. This is why the department is engaging with different stakeholders in weather forecasting, disaster preparedness and response to source efforts on how to improve Malawi's preparedness and response to weather-related hazards through the use of impact-based forecasting, IBF. Director of the Department of Climate Change and Meteorological Services, Lucent Tiratila, said they want to formulate weather forecast messages that trigger action from the community members to be safe.
The impact helps people to prepare well as also to act accordingly, as I said earlier. Because right now, if I just say tomorrow it will be raining, I stop there. It's difficult for one to act on that. But if I go further to say it will rain and there is a possibility of flooding in this area, which can be of this magnitude, then people will be able to act. Apart from just looking at the impact, we'd like also to incorporate issues of social data in this. By social data, we mean issues of vulnerability, exposure of communities or everyone. So we'd like also to include that information in the forecast, so that when you are saying this area is likely to flood, we should be able even to demonstrate how many people are at risk at that point. And the messages that people can trigger action. Otherwise, if we don't put that action in the center of these messages, then we find that the application sometimes is limited.
The meeting also aims at strengthening understanding of IBF and improve coordination among institutions involved in weather forecasting, disaster preparedness and response. Chilungamo Banda from the Department of Water Development in the Ministry of Agriculture said when the weather forecasts are translated into timely and effective action, they help to reduce the impact of disasters.
I, as a representative of the Department of Water Resources, our role is to inform the nation on perhaps like issues to do with rising water levels in various river channels across the country. But impact-based forecasting goes beyond that. It goes a step ahead by informing the vulnerable communities as to what that number or what that rise in water level would do, or the impacts that will have on the communities, say on the livelihood or on the property or infrastructure that is associated in those particular areas. With this initiative, with this workshop, we are, as you may have seen, on one of the key elements or one of the key outcomes of this workshop is to have to do stakeholder mapping. Now, the stakeholder mapping will help us to know who and who is relevant in as far as this IBF initiative is concerned, to ensure that we have a streamlined means of communicating to the vulnerable communities on incoming or impending disasters, so that we can save lives or we can reduce losses that may be created for any sort of disaster, especially weather-related disasters.
Among the stakeholders are representatives from the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, the Malawi Red Cross, the World Food Programme, Department of Water Development in the Ministry of Agriculture, and members of the media. Officials say stronger collaboration among these stakeholders is key to ensuring communities receive accurate information and timely support before weather-related disasters occur in communities. Mercy Zamawa, MBC News, Zomba.
Now, the Japanese government has pledged continued support towards the education sector in the country. The Japanese ambassador to Malawi, Naito Yasushi, said this during a visit to Tumbwe Chiradzulu, where he inspected the Chikangulu Community Day Secondary School. The school was constructed in 2018 by the Japanese government. Simeon Shumba with the details.
The Japanese ambassador to Malawi said since the school's completion, a number of learners have diligently pursued their education at the Community Day Secondary School, growing into responsible citizens and young leaders who now contribute to the economic development of the country. The ambassador has since hailed the communities around the Secondary School for their strong collaboration and ownership of the school, which has helped the structures to remain intact and resilient.
We, Japanese government, do a lot of different development cooperation. But the small-scale grant scheme, we have a small-scale grant scheme. We've been helping schools, 40 different schools or so, building classrooms. We have supported the Chikanguru secondary school 8 years ago. And then it happened to be the constituency of Honorable Mutharika, and he himself supported that project very much. And then today it is a great opportunity for us to actually see after 8 years, how the school is utilized effectively and also maintained well. And also we could see the ownership, the very willingness of the parents and community leaders contribute to the project. That is a great opportunity for us.
For his part, Member of Parliament for Chiradzulu Tumbwe, Joseph Mwanamveka, said the school has contributed significantly to the development of the area since 2018. Mwanamveka, who is also Minister of Finance, said the school is assisting a lot of learners in the area who have been selected to this school since 2018.
As an MP or a Member of Parliament for Chiradzulu Tumbwe, I'm quite excited and I'm happy that because today the ambassador for Japan came to visit the school which they built in 2018. At the same time, they also came to launch the construction of under 5 clinic, and at the same time early child development center. They want to build this particular place. So I would say I'm quite excited today. It's a historical day for us in the Chikangulu and at Masuku, because we are going to have not only the secondary school, we're also going to have an under 5 clinic. We're also going to have an early child development center.
Meanwhile, Mwanamveka has also launched the construction of an under 5 clinic in his constituency which will be constructed with financial assistance from the Japanese government. Simon Zumba, NBC News, Rotary.
Traffic congestion caused by illegal parking and vending is becoming a growing concern in major urban centers across Malawi. Our reporter Efi Ndawala looks at some roads in Zingwangwa, Mbayani, Ndirande, Chirimba and Bangwe as those heavily affected. The report is being read by Amin Musa.
During morning and evening peak hours, movement becomes difficult and in some cases unsafe. Apart from poor road conditions, some road users say illegal parking and unregulated stopping of public transport vehicles are also contributing to problems resulting in delays and disruption to daily activities. Alex Sumbleta is a resident of Zingwangwa. Sometimes people park along the roads the whole day, forcing minibus drivers to drop passengers anywhere, causing congestion as well. Road Safety Alert Foundation ROSAF says illegal parking and vending is posing a serious threat to both pedestrians and motorists and has since warned that those found guilty will be penalized.
Parking where pedestrian is supposed to walk is illegal and is not accepted. It causes the possibilities of killing school-going children or elderly people because you are pushing them out from that pedestrian walkways. Another thing is constructing pedestrian walkways separate from the roads, so that pedestrians with the road, they should know have a parallel walkways. For pedestrians, we would like to advise them to take extra precautions as the government is trying to look for those solutions, and the city councils, they should also try to see their safety, like putting on the visibility. They should be seen, especially in the evening time. They are coming out from businesses, going home to Mbayani and other places. They should be putting on a reflective vest.
But what is Blantyre City Council doing to address the situation? Mayor of the city of Blantyre, Councillor Isaac Jomo Osman, has this to say.
We are putting some measures where there are people, they are all controlled. So the only challenge that we have now is about the township. You can see when you go to Zingwangwa, you find by the market, because there's a lot of people who do illegal vending. So by the peak hour, they do businesses on the parking spaces. So that those issues are the one who cause the congestion to be there. So we are trying our best to fix that soon. We want to clean up all these busy places so that there should be no congestion.
There is hope that with planned interventions, congestion will ease and return improved safety of road users as traffic pressure continues to grow along some of the busiest roads, particularly during peak hours.
Some citizens in Mzuzu have praised the workers in public hospitals for their sacrifices in providing services. Chrissy Kayuni, a resident of Masasa, said as the world marked World Health Day on Tuesday, it is time to appreciate the work health workers do. Another resident, Maxwell Maonga, however, urged them to improve on punctuality. Meklina Chirwa has compiled this report.
Malawi's health sector has faced an increasing number of disease outbreaks in recent years, stretching already limited resources. Despite this, the country continues to provide free health care services to citizens. As World Health Day was commemorated, several people commended health workers for their humility in service delivery.
When it comes to treatment, the doctors are good. I have never faced any problem at the hospital.
My concern is on punctuality. The need to report for duties on time. But treatment itself is not a problem.
Maziko Matemba, health rights activist, had this to say.
We as advocates to make sure that our health workers are happy, but also patients are able to give feedback, because providing health services is not an easy task. And specialized people who are trained and who have capacity to provide that service. So we are happy that finally we are receiving some positive feedback.
The health service delivery system, initiated by government in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, addresses patients' treatment and healthcare needs. Meklina Chirwa, MBC News, Mzuzu.
While you're watching News Hour here on MBC, now still to come, we will join our colleagues at Lilongwe Studios.
Yes.
Plus,
the latest in business and sport.
Now, a reminder of our top stories.
Government to continue constructing modern houses for traditional leaders across the country to ensure they live in decent conditions. The Japanese government pledges continued support towards the education sector in the country. And Speaker of Parliament appeals to the Budget and Finance Committee and other parliamentary committees to track the implementation of the 2026-2027 national budget for the benefit of Malawians.
Last year, I teamed up with the European Union to visit Mulanje and see the impact of its partnership on local businesses. I learned that a small spark can ignite lasting change. A loan from the village bank became a bakery that changed lives. A transformed community soaring high.
Agaga, kwa sochiluka, tiko tsi, ndiyankolani. Kamalo kacheba, kumazokolola, kamwemwe. Izi ni mbewu zogwizana ndi kusintha kwa nyengo. Zopirira kuchilala. Ndipo zimalola zigawo zonse za dziko lino. Iphani makwacha, komanso thisani njala. Toima mbewu za tiko tsi. Tiko tsi, mbewu ndenga.
Welcome back to MBC News Hour, and now let's join our colleagues in the Lilongwe studios for the latest update from the Central Region.
From our Area 4 studios in Lilongwe, welcome to this segment of News Hour. You're with me, Beatrice Mwape, and my colleague
Raymond Midaya.
Straight to our first story, Speaker of Parliament Samir Suleiman has appealed to the Budget and Finance Committee and other committees to track the implementation of the 2026-2027 national budget to ensure it benefits a local Malawian. Samir Suleiman was speaking in Lilongwe when he opened a dialogue on budget implementation, tracking and oversight. The dialogue has been organized by the African Institute for Development Policy, AFIDEP, and Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA, Malawi. Isaac Jali has this report.
During the dialogue, Speaker of Parliament Samir Suleiman emphasized that the role of members of Parliament is not just to pass the budget, but oversight, to ensure the money delivers development aspirations of Malawians. Samir Suleiman went on to say that Malawi must confront persistent challenges in budget execution, including procurement delays, weak financial management systems, and coordination gaps. He therefore challenged various financial committees of the House to scrutinize how resources are utilized, track alignment between expenditure and approved priorities, while also ensuring that audit findings are not merely noted, but acted upon for accountability purposes.
Corruption is rampant. We don't need to hide about it. And as I said in there, that it is only us that can fix it. No one will come to fix it for us. And we should hold hands together. You have seen the president has given us the guideline to say, this is what we should follow. Let's have austerity measures. All that is to make sure that we protect the expenditure of the public purse. and we should all comply with that.
For his part, Elia Zulu of AFIDEP observed that currently Malawi is operating in an increasingly constrained resource environment. Hence, tracking implementation of the budget is vital to ensure Malawians receive what they deserve.
When a budget, like now, the budget is about 11 trillion kwacha. When there are problems that money is not dispersed enough, there are challenges, what ends up happening is that the Treasury does the most cuts on the development budget, and because that's and on service delivery. Because salaries are fixed, a lot of the recurring costs are fixed, servicing of our public debt is fixed. So in the end, you might find that a budget is given there, but because of these various challenges, not adequate money is there, or sometimes priorities change within the budget. If there isn't adequate discipline to stick to the budget lines, money gets moved to other priorities, and what ends up suffering for the most part is service delivery.
Gordon Matonga is chairperson of MISA and says media too has a crucial role to play in ensuring that duty bearers are held accountable.
For any accountability to take place, there is need for access to information. So access to information is crucial, not only for members of parliament to be able to scrutinize budgets, but it's also crucial for civil society. Media is just one component of civil society, and it's very important that the media is able to access information on behalf of Malawians, but also members of the public themselves are able to access information. That will ensure that there's a transparency and accountability, and budgets are being implemented in a manner that serves the interests of the public.
The dialogue was organized by AFIDEP and the Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA. Isaac Jali, MBC, Lilongwe.
The Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development is banking on the diaspora community to address the growing housing challenges in cities and towns. According to Eris Properties Managing Director Washington Chimuzu, the country needs an average of 20,000 housing units every year to address the housing deficit. Minister of Lands and Housing, Chimwemwe Chipungu, acknowledges the housing challenge, but was quick to say that government plans to maximize partnerships with both the diaspora community as well as foreign investors to address the problem. Details in this report by Trust Office.
Even though the country is blessed with vast land in all cities, towns and councils, access to housing remains a challenge as most people are struggling to access accommodation. The growing demand for housing in urban areas has also seen the cost of housing going up. A cross-section of people MPC has interacted with have acknowledged the challenge, with more others reporting fraud cases.
It is difficult, extremely difficult to find a house here in Malawi because of the expenses. And most of the times you have to use the agents, which are sometimes they show you a house which you wouldn't like.
Is it difficult to find a house in Lilongwe? Because being Lilongwe capital city, it's hard for someone to find a house.
Most areas near the town, you can't get a house easily.
Property manager, Eris Properties Chief Executive Washington Chimuzu attributed the prevailing situation to Malawi's position as a net importer of construction materials, which drives up the cost of construction and resultantly affecting the availability of housing.
So a typical construction contract, typically you get about 60 to 80% of that cost is just for materials alone. And again, not only is it because we're importing from outside, but there are other elements that go into it: taxation, transportation, handling, and all those other costs associated with bringing those materials into, and sometimes expertise into the country.
Whilst acknowledging the growing challenge, Malawi Housing Corporation Chief Executive Matthews Mazangati disclosed that the institution has received over 100,000 requests for housing in cities and towns, but is unable to meet the demand due to limitations of financial capital. Mazangati has, however, expressed optimism that the institution will implement key projects to address the challenge.
So basically what you're looking at is to also ensure that we're bringing in new innovations to the building environment, to ensure that we're building our structures using the affordable building materials, so that we are delivering that house within the minimum costs as much as we can.
Minister of Lands and Housing Chimwemwe Bingu highlighted that government is aware of the problem. However, plans are underway to partner with people in the diaspora as well as foreign investors to help address the problem.
As the ministry will try and also engage people from diaspora to construct, flats, because we've got a policy now. Land is not increasing, population is increasing, so we cannot use the same land to accommodate the population that is increasing. But to curb that, if you build up, let's say 4 stories, 5 stories, that will suffice the problem.
As the country moves towards attaining a middle income status by 2030 based on Malawi 2063 targets, addressing the housing challenge remains key to ensure that the citizenry is accorded with affordable housing. Trust Office, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Now, Rotary District 9210 says close to 12 billion kwacha has been secured for Malawi to support disease prevention, treatment, targeting illnesses such as diarrhea, pneumonia, with a strong focus on polio eradication. Rotary District Governor Masho Chilenga disclosed this during the press conference on the preparations of the 2026 Rotary District Conference set for Salima this year. Emmanuel Chukonso with the details.
Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique and Malawi are the nations forming the Rotary District 9210, whose members will meet in Salima, May this year. Rotary District Governor Masho Chilenga says a couple of interventions have been made towards disease control, including securing grants amounting to not less than 12 billion Malawi kwacha for interventions, including the procurement of vaccines in collaboration with the Ministry of Health to combat polio. Chilenga says the upcoming conference will provide a platform for stakeholders to reflect on progress and strengthen strategies, particularly as misinformation continues to hinder polio eradication efforts.
Polio is only endemic in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Nigeria is now polio-free, but Malawi is joining these 3 countries which still have polio. So we need to make sure that we can eradicate polio from the face of the world by making sure each and every child is vaccinated or immunized against polio.
Meanwhile, organizing chairperson Sophie Kalinde says Malawi is fully prepared to host the high-level gathering and has called for collective action in addressing pressing health challenges.
We are very good organizers. At the moment, even if they had said, can we have the district conference the week after next week, we would be able to do it.
This year's district conference will be held under the theme, Unite for Good. Emmanuel Chikonso, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Government says it is committed to promoting the welfare of people with disabilities by ensuring inclusivity in policy and program implementation. Director of Disability and Elderly Affairs in the Ministry of Gender, Children, Disability and Social Welfare, David Njaidi, made the remarks in Lilongwe during a policy review capacity building workshop for people with disabilities. More in this report by Lonjezo Msodoka.
The workshop aims to equip stakeholders and people with disabilities with practical policy review methods that will strengthen knowledge of global, regional, and national disability frameworks to ensure stakeholders come up with evidence-based recommendations for disability-inclusive policies. Speaking during the workshop, Njaidi said government continues to align its efforts with legal and policy requirements to effectively address disability issues.
We are well aligned to address disability issues in terms of legal requirements as well as policy requirements and in terms of budgetary allocations to these programs. For example, this year, the financial year that we have just started, government considered the Disability Trust Fund from 500 million to 2 billion, which is commitment from government.
Senior Program Manager for Site Savers, Efi Kamwendo, said the training is part of promoting and safeguarding the rights of people with disabilities by ensuring that they familiarize themselves with national policies and disability instruments. Kamwendo said this will strengthen their ability to advocate for human rights.
When we train the OPDs in policy review analysis, they will be able to review any policy, whether in education sector, health sector, agriculture sector, any sector. They will be able to look at the policy and be able to know what the gaps are and be able to advocate for policy review.
Executive Director for Federation of Disability Organizations of Malawi, FEDOMA, Simon Munde, said the training will help identify existing gaps in policies, thereby contributing to the advancement of the rights of people with disabilities.
We'll come up with some policy briefs that when we are engaging with government, they should be able to hear us from a very well-informed perspective so that as they are actually taking various kind of legislation into parliament, policies into cabinet, these issues should be actually guiding them that these are issues that persons with disabilities in Malawi are looking for.
The 4-day training is expected to come to an end on Friday, 10 April 2026. Longezon Sodoka, MBC News, Lilongwe.
And that's how we conclude this segment of News Hour from our Area 4 studios in Lilongwe. You have been with me, Beatrice Mwabe, and my colleague,
Raymond Midaya.
Thank you for watching, and we're handing you back to Kwacha Studios in Blantyre.
Well, thank you so much, Beatrice and Raymond, from that update from the Central region. And now let's move to the business segment. Nico Group has been unveiled as the lead sponsor of the 2026 Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry MCCCI Business Leaders Summit after contributing 200 million kwacha. The summit is expected to be held in Mangochi from 22nd to 24th this month. Head of Marketing and Customer Experience for Nico Group, Taweni Gondo Klaba, says the sponsorship is evidence that Nico Group believes in meaningful conversations.
The Nico Group, it was not a difficult decision to support the Malawi Confederated Chambers of Commerce and Industry with 200 million kwacha sponsorship this year. I think everybody who reads the papers or watches the news or listens to the radio knows the challenges that are facing this country economically. Those are challenges that require very strong leadership, very robust kind of thinking, and we believe that this is a platform for that kind of robust thinking and to really brainstorm and think about what needs to be done, but also looking at it through a policy lens. We can sit around and discuss it among ourselves as people in commerce and industry, but if we do not actually engage with with policymakers at this level, then it's not very likely that the proposals we make are going to end up being anything meaningful. So it was not a difficult decision to make, to see that there's a role for the Nico Group to play in really pushing forward constructive engagement around the economy and where this country is going. Our expectation of this Business Leadership Summit is that Malawi's leaders in commerce and industry, as well as in policy, are going to come together with very clear ambition to get a very strong direction going for this country. That's our expectation, that we will come there and have a very honest, robust dialogue and really engage in an honest way, a meaningful way that will actually take this country forward. Talk shops are cheap. We all know how to take ourselves to the lake. That's not the idea. We're not just looking to go and just hang out and network. We're looking for genuine solutions. Malawians are looking to the leadership of this country, both in the private and public sector, for genuine solutions. Businesses are in pain, families are in pain, individuals are in pain. There is serious trouble. We exist in a world that geopolitically is on fire at the moment. So our expectation is that when we go to this summit, we're actually going to come out with actionable points, things that can actually be done by both private sector and public sector to take this country forward, because the people of Malawi deserve nothing less.
And MCCCI Chief Executive Officer Daisy Kambalame says the summit will attract 160 participants from the public and private sectors, including key players in community development, and their interaction will help shape national policy.
Well, for us, the Leaders Summit is a key event that we host. And, to host any event, you require resources. And this will enhance the experience that people have. But it also makes it easier for us to plan and deliver the event. And also, especially when we look at the resources that we need, the resource persons that are going to inspire the conversations and also help to ensure that the conversations that we have there are meaningful and will have lasting impact on the Malawi economy. So it's something that is really positive and is going to boost our ability to be able to host a successful event. One of the key highlights is really looking at policy issues and also the priorities that we need to set for Malawi, especially looking at the growth agenda for Malawi and how that the role that business and the public sector can play in ensuring that we create space for partnership. But the other key issue is also looking at the role that transparency, accountability and governance also play in driving the change agenda and the growth agenda. Because without really looking at issues like those, we'll find that Malawi will continue to struggle. So there are quite a number of issues that we've already seen emerging that affect how the economy is performing. So last year we really looked at issues of investment, looking at growth in manufacturing, trying to drive exports, but that is not going to happen if we don't have good structures of accountability, transparency, and governance. It's really apparent that our economy is struggling. Now, without any additional investment, it becomes really difficult for any economy to grow. For us, it's really important to look at how private sector investment is going to be unlocked. So having these policy discussions will also help us to unpack where the opportunities are and how policy can unlock investment, because it just doesn't happen overnight. But you really need to look at what is it that Malawi needs to unlock these opportunities for investment in order to grow our manufacturing, in order to grow our exports, so that we can now stop talking about shortage of forex as issues that are hindering our production as Malawi.
Well, congratulations to Nico Group there, and expectations of a number of presentations from what Nico Group is doing so that business leaders and all those involved will be hearing and contribute for national policy development. Meanwhile, Ilovo Sugar Malawi has contributed 24 million kwacha towards the summit. Managing Director for Ilovo Sugar Malawi, Ronald Ngwira, says the company believes the summit is a crucial engagement between business leaders to discuss issues that will benefit the economy of the country.
Ilovo Sugar Malawi decided to get involved in supporting the Chamber of Commerce in the upcoming leadership conference that's happening on the 26th at the Lake, because we believe that it's an important engagement to convene business leaders together with government leaders to discuss policy, to discuss accountability, to discuss transparency, because that is where we can actually move forward as a nation by aligning on policy conversations as well as getting the strategy right. So we're excited that MCCCI is targeting about 160 people to come together of various groupings, so ministries, I think 4 or 5 ministries, as well as business leaders, as well as others, coming together. We all live in Malawi, we all know the challenges that we have. So hard, honest, frank discussions that offer transparency, intentional leadership to get us out of where we are is important. And together, if we are aligned, I think we can help in coming up with some solutions to Malawi's problems.
Well, still in business news, the Institute of Marketing in Malawi, IMM, has signed a memorandum of understanding with Classic Travels aimed at enhancing member benefits and supporting professional efficiency. Speaking during the signing ceremony at IMM offices in Blantyre, Managing Director of Classic Travels, Janet Kawalala, underscored the importance of seamless travel solutions for marketers, noting that improved mobility is key to boosting productivity and industry growth.
I'm in marketing by profession, and I'm also a professional travel consultant.
and of course the owner of Classic Travels. So being a proud marketer, I just wanted to extend this gesture to my fellow marketers so that they can also benefit with their families. The benefits will include 24/7 customer service, discounted airfares and accommodation, as well as flexible payments for the packages.
Well, Operations Manager for IMM, Vida Manda, explains.
Offer, when we looked at the discussion, we thought it was a viable idea that we could incorporate and bring it as a value member addition for our members. From this partnership, members are going to benefit discounts as they travel. As a Classic Travel agency, they are offering bookings for all your travels. They are offering reservations. They are offering shuttle travels at various destinations. So for members, as they are traveling, number one, they will have discounts to every destination that they are traveling to, whether it's local or international. Number two, they can also have the benefit of having their booking done in advance, which also relieves the stress as you travel. But also the hotel bookings can be done for them, which is also easier for them. So they can just go on a holiday having everything booked for them and just enjoy the holiday.
Now, Minister of Information Shadrack Namalomba led Parliament in paying tribute to late Professor Bingu wa Mutharika for his efforts and commitment to the development of Malawi. Namalomba told Parliament that Bingu wa Mutharika's selflessness, visionary and zeal helped Malawi stand out as a food basket in the region. We have this report.
Through a tribute entitled Rekindling the Spirit of Development, Peace and Justice, Minister of Information Shadrack Namalomba praised the late Bingu wa Mutharika, whose vision, he said, transformed Malawi during his tenure of office. Transformed Malawi during his time in office. Namalomba observed that when late Bingu wa Mutharika assumed office in 2004, Malawi faced perennial food shortage. However, through his vision, he introduced Farm Input Subsidy Program FISIP to cushion poor smallholder farmers, which later translated into increased productivity and economic growth. He also said between 2004 and 2009, Malawi's economy grew at an average rate of 6.5%. Inflation declined, which led to improved living conditions for the people.
The first Deputy Speaker, sir, between 2004 and 2009, growth surged, rising to an average of 6.5%. Inflation eased, poverty declined, and hope began to take root in the lives of ordinary Malawians. The nation found relief from debt, and new doors opened through global partnerships. For a moment in time, Malawi stood among the fastest growing economies in the world.
Namalomba's tribute was followed by a barrage of praises from those who worked with late Bingu wa Mutharika closely. One of them was Mulanje West Member of Parliament Patricia Kariati, who held Bingu as a leader for the people, who was non-nepotistic, and who worked well with ministers from all regions of the country.
The late Bingu was also a man who wanted peace. You couldn't even allow to go to him and say, oh, I've come, Patricia was saying this. I said, okay, thank you so much. You think maybe he has taken that seriously. And he was able to supply his people. The following morning, or maybe after 1 week, people were getting phone calls. Can we meet at 3? And when they are going there at 3 or at 2, they couldn't even know who is there. You find that they were finding the person who was reporting to him, and that this one was saying this, and said, oh, do please tell me what you told me about this man. So he was able to bring peace, and he didn't even allow anybody to be playing around with his office. He was a man, a statesman, who wanted, he was standing in his shoes to say, when he said the thing that I'm looking forward to have this in Malawi, he meant it, and he made sure that that thing should be there.
George Chabonda, Richard Mwendobanda, and Frank Mwenefumbo, among others, all praised the fallen hero. Professor Bingu wa Mutharika served as president of Malawi from 2004 to April 2012. He founded the Democratic Progressive Party DPP, and he is remembered for food security and economic gains Malawi made during his tenure. Isaac Jali, MBC, Parliament.
Well, many thanks from our Parliament reporters there. And for the latest in the world of sports, let's join Amin Musa.
Thank you very much. Let us begin with sports science and administration. Over the years, Malawi has been performing miserably in most international sports competitions in almost all the sporting codes. According to sports experts, this is due to lack of deep knowledge in sports administrators who are trusted to lead the game. Crispin Nyasulu, a graduate of Mzuzu University with a Bachelor of Arts in Sports Management, believes this poor performance can be solved by introducing policy to have administrators who possess at least a basic knowledge of the game.
Previously in Malawi, every Jim and Jack was claiming to be a sports manager. But in essence, not every person is a sports manager. A person who is supposed to manage sports should and must have sports management qualifications. But since we didn't have such courses in Malawi for such a long time, every person could come and say, I'm a sports manager. That's why we are in a mess as of now. He doesn't qualify someone just because he has got money. Why are some clubs going backwards when they have someone who's got money if they have that knowledge of sports management? Having money and having the skills of sports management are two different things. Let me just give you MASA as an association. If I may claim that I have a lot of money, then MASA is going to move in the right direction. That's not true as of now in Malawi. That's why I'm saying having money as a person, as an individual, doesn't guarantee you to be a good sports manager. I'll just give you one or two. When you look at how most of our Super League clubs are being run, it's like we are being forced to do other things which are supposed to be normal. Look at how club licensing has been a song here in Malawi. People have struggled to agree or to follow that rule of club licensing. It's one of the signs that shows those people managing those clubs, they don't have those skills of sports management. Simple policy. Let us have sports policy, as simple as that.
Malawi University of Science and Technology offers degree in sports science. Alex Mandaliza is a graduate in the course. He concurs with Nyasulu, but first shares the basic background of sports science.
Sports science is a program whereby we learn a lot of things, including sports nutrition, sports psychology, sports physiology. Having sports scientists in our respective associations or teams can help us a lot in terms of talent identification or player management. Because when you look at our structures here in Malawi, there's a lot of shortcuts. For example, for a player to graduate from under 13 or under 17 all the way to under 23, you find that you're going to have a different team from those who were in the under 13 or in the under 17. So we need to have a proper structure whereby we're going to manage the athletes, we like to monitor them, giving them training programs, nutrition programs, or gym programs. For example, when we are having a tournament at our club, we do have a fitness testing session whereby we measure each individual player according to their abilities or in terms of speed, endurance, strength. We do see weaknesses and strengths in the athletes, so we need to plan properly and then give them the program that will help them to excel better in their respective positions in terms of their sport. So Sports Council has to take it seriously to open doors for sports scientists, and associations have to do the same as well, because the world now is advancing, because we are involving a lot of science in our sporting activities. We need to plan for psychological sessions with them before the game or before the tournament. So associations has to open doors for sports scientists, engaging them or trying to organize courses in their respective clubs or associations for that, so that they should learn more about player management and team management as well. Right, my take on Sports Council is to encourage sports associations and teams to open doors for sports scientists to be in their teams. We have been conceding a lot of goals in terms of football, so we need to manage how can we control that in terms of nutrition, because when the player is experiencing fatigue, they make a lot of mistakes towards the end of the game, so we need to manage their nutrition as well as psychological strategies. We're going to avoid cheating, so Malawi has to embrace it as a nation. So it needs to start from our local primary schools as well. So Minister of Education has to take this as well to include sports or PE in their curriculum as well. So it will help us a lot to identify a lot of talent here in Malawi, because we do have the talent, but then we don't know how to take care of it properly and then to manage it.
Finally, in cycling, men dominate professional cycling in the country. The question is, why women do not patronize the game in numbers? And what is the response from Cycling Federation of Malawi on this matter? James Chimpeni is the federation's treasurer.
So we have so many cycling ladies in Malawi. Only that that's why now we want to conduct this event, considering that yes, they are available, but they are not large in numbers. So we want to make sure that ladies, they are also taking part in cycling. There is a special category that we prepare for the ladies and also for the young children, for them to compete within the ladies themselves and even the children themselves. We are focusing much on ladies and young children under 15 of age for the young children, but for the ladies we are going even up to 45 years of age. This event in Lilongwe, we are calling it Ladies in Cycling Sport. Mainly is to promote women and these young ladies in cycling sport. We have so many activities, more especially cycling activity, which will involve cycling around the Council Institute for Sports, and also a competitive, which would be more or less like a social competition.
That's it from Sports segment. This has been Amin Musa. Back to our main presenters.
Well, many thanks to Amini Musa and the rest of the sports desk for that update. And that item concludes this edition of News Hour here on MBC.
A reminder of our top stories before we leave.
Government to continue constructing modern houses for traditional leaders across the country to ensure they live in decent conditions. The Japanese government pledges continued support towards the education sector in the country. And Speaker of Parliament appeals to the Budget and Finance Committee and other parliamentary committees to track the implementation of the 2026-2027 national budget for the benefit of Malawians.
Well, you can keep up to date with our news coverage on all our digital pages by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You are with me, Arthur Chokoto, alongside
Sefadim Sus, and our sign language interpreter tonight was Linley Mponda. From the entire team, it's thanks for watching and bye for now.